Welcome to Hockey Nights in Vegas, episode number 35, brought to us by the Las Vegas Advisor. And normally it's just Joe Payne and I, but if you guys take a look at the screen, we have a very special guest, one of the original Misfits. Deryk Engelland is joining us. Deryk, it's an honor to have you.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm honored to be on.
So let's get started with something that's not Golden Knights related, but is a fantastic story that I read a few years ago in the Players Tribune. Can you tell the story about the first date with the woman who ended up becoming your wife?
Yeah. Well, I met her at McMullen's pub. We'd always go eat there after the games. They gave us discounted meals after games, and you'd go there, have a couple beers and a meal. And she was there one night, so I eventually went and talked to her and told her to come to a game, our next game. And we were supposed to go out after the game together, meet up after. And back then, I didn't have a cell phone back then. This was like, I just come from junior hockey in Canada. And so you had to write the numbers down and all that. And I got a big fight that night, beat up a kid pretty good. So I was waiting at McMullen's where we were going to meet up after the game, and she wasn't coming. So I had to go borrow someone's cell phone and call her. And she thought I was a little crazy because I fought during a hockey game. So she didn't want to come meet me. And I had to explain, it's part of my job. There's no reason for it, just to pump up the team. That's what I do, part of my job. And she eventually came and met us, and we went out that night, and here we are 20 some years later, 20 years later, I think now.
With two boys.
Two boys, yeah.
Yeah, congratulations on that. And one's becoming a star.
I got to star in his commercials. So
that's Cash, right?
Yeah.
Cash is the new star of the Engelland family.
Yeah. Are you going to be his agent?
No, I think that's too. I'm not a good salesperson. So I'll let him. Hopefully, my hockey agent. I'm still good friends with him. Maybe if Cash needs a acting agent, he'll get into that or something. So,
hey, Deryk, I did notice that you copied Cash's hairstyle. Is that you liked the way it looked, and you decided to go with the same hairstyle as Cash?
I did have that first. I've had that for a while.
I was being facetious.
I definitely have to give props to my wife, because I probably wouldn't have cut it like that going back in the day unless she told me to. I was not a big, you go back to when you meet her, I was wearing flannel shirts and, I was up in the sticks in Canada. So, fashion wasn't a big thing up there. You wore a hat everywhere, didn't have to comb your hair or anything like that. So anything that I wear, still to this day, she has her hands involved in picking out or helping me along the way. So
I think it's actually endearing that Cash has kind of copied your hairstyle. It's just he obviously looks up to you as you're his hero. I'm sure of that. I think that's great.
Yeah, it's kind of cool when my youngest has the same haircut too. So when we're all actually, not too often our hair all combed at the same time, but if we're going out for a nice dinner or something like that, it looks kind of cool. It's all the same way and stuff. So it's good.
Deryk, let's go back to year one. The unspeakable tragedy we don't really need to talk about, but can you talk a little bit about how it brought the room together and what it was like? I've heard you say that you were sort of reluctant about speaking, but at that moment, you were the point of the tip of the spear. Basically, the city made you the captain of the team, even though there wasn't a C on your sweater. But can you just talk a little bit about that time from when you returned from the 2-game road trip and what Vegas was like and how the team sort of adopted the city?
We are Vegas strong.
Yeah, I think, if you go back even further to the expansion draft, we had myself, Marc-Andre Fleury, James Neal, Braden McNabb. I think that was it that came in for the draft. Reed Duke was here too. But you go back to those days, and we knew, coming into the season, obviously you didn't think you were going to make it to the finals or anything like that, but we knew we had to get a team together to get to know each other on a quicker basis. And that was the same kind of thing that we knew we had to do with the city. We had to get out in the community, do charities, do events, do appearances, stuff like that, just to, sell the game of hockey to these new fans. And I think when October 1 happened, it fast-tracked that to an extreme level where, something like that happens, this whole city came together. Like before that, yeah, it was a great city. But once that happened, I feel like this community really started. It brought everyone a lot closer together, and it brought our team and the community together at a much more rapid pace, I think, than originally planned. And it definitely helps winning, and I think what happened definitely fueled the team to, not only play for, the team or your career or the guys in that room, but play for the entire community.
It was a special night, Deryk, and you wound up scoring a goal also on that night. And I don't know if you can remember this, but in the locker room, I asked you, as a defenseman, you don't score a lot of goals. Where would you rank this goal in your career? And you said to me, well, let me finish my career and I might have a better gauge of where the importance of that goal sits now. So now that your playing career is over, where does that importance of that goal that you scored on that night, where does that sit with you, your family, your career?
I think it's, the funny thing is, I'm going to say it's right up there with my first ever career NHL goal, but they're very similar goals. If you can go back and if you ever look and try to find it, I think it was against Tampa Bay, but very similar. I forget if it was Sid or Kunitz, drove down low, turned up, hit me with one-timer, scored. So it was very similar, and that's kind of crazy that a very similar goal, and they're both, going to be the top of my career for goals, those two.
Yeah, actually, and Arizona kind of ruined the party by scoring another goal there, which kind of nullified your goal being the game-winning goal. So
yeah,
that would have been like the icing on the cake. The speech, the game-winning goal. I mean, could you have asked for more at that point?
Yeah, no, that's I could have not scored again that year, and I still would have been satisfied. So, like you said, I don't score a whole lot. So when I do, it's it's a great feeling and stuff. But to come out with a W that game was much more important. We needed to win that game.
You said you don't score a lot of goals, and you scored 30 in your NHL career, but you just have a knack of scoring important goals. In your last two seasons with the Golden Knights, you only scored 3 goals, but 2 of those goals were game-winning goals, and you did that early in your career too. So you do have a knack of finding the net at the appropriate time. Is there something to that, or it's just...
I'll take them just when they
take
come.
them as they come.
Take them as they come. You try to grow as a player, and you see guys scoring 30, 40, 50 goals a year, and obviously you'd like to be one of those guys for sure, but you can't have too many of those guys out there. The game would be boring, I guess. You got to have some toughness and grit out there, and I really enjoyed that part, and it was nice chipping in when you could.
Yep.
Speaking of toughness and grit, it seems lately that in the NHL, any good hit, a legal hit, is answered with a fight nowadays. It seems like it's got to the point where the enforcers or the toughest guys are taking a liberty when someone's just putting an honest body check on somebody. Does that seem sort of odd to you?
I think it's less. I think it's less. I think it was policed a lot more, and I think back in the day, if there was a dirty hit, you had no choice. Now guys have choices. They don't have. They can run around, not respect their opponent, do whatever the heck they want, and they don't have to answer the bell. Where you go back even 10 years when I started, you had a dirty hit or a bad hit, you had to answer the bell. And the guys back then, every team had a couple of those guys that you don't want to fight. Now there's a handful of them in the entire league that you don't want to fight. So I think guys, I don't want to say were more respective of guys back in the day, but I think that plays a factor when you have 2 or 3 guys that can fight on a team and are scary tough. You don't run around quite as much as you do maybe nowadays.
Well, Joe's been a Ranger guy for a long time, and I think he had Ty Domi for a couple of seconds, but I'm a Detroit guy, so I grew up with Probert and Kosher, and there was nobody took liberties. It was, and it's sort of like McSorley with Gretzky, and there's a history. But lately, last night in the Rangers game, a perfectly clean hit, and the next thing you know, somebody's being called to a fight. The dirty hits, I think, are one thing. Maybe the clean hits are different, and maybe it's because there's less guys, like you said. There's only 5 or 6 real heavyweights left in the league.
Yeah, I think there's a fine line. If there's a big hit out there, if you just don't do anything about it, then there's going to be 5 more big hits at next game. Against your team, but if there's a huge hit on one of your top guys and you answer the bell, then guys the next game are going to be like, okay, if I blow this guy up, maybe I'll let up just a little bit, So I think that there's a fine line between, excessive and policing, the game a little bit.
Speaking of tough guys, who was the toughest guy that you ever had to drop the gloves with?
Oh God. Let's see. I don't know. Reeves would be up there. He throws heavy. McGrattan. Always had great fights with Orr. I loved, I just liked a good fight. McGrattan dropped me right away with it wasn't even a hard punch. But I just like good fights. I didn't care if I won or lost. I just wanted a good fight. And for some reason, Revos weren't too bad, but me and Orr always had, even in juniors, we fought a couple times and just battles. So they were always fun. Yeah,
but you did knock Colton Orr out in Pittsburgh, I believe, correct?
Yes, I dropped him once. And then the next game he came back was on the HBO series. So it got a lot of hype.
Deryk, I want to get your opinion on the penalty kill. You were on the number 1 penalty kill unit, and Eddie and I sit up in the press box and we just pull our hair out now with the copycat league of the teams bringing the puck up to the blue line and then throwing it backwards 80 feet. As a penalty killer, is that something that you can easily defend against, or would you rather see that? Would you rather see that, or would you rather see the team try to kind of headman the puck into the offensive zone while you're killing the penalties?
As a D-man, it didn't really affect me. If McDavid and McKinnon, guys like that with that speed and skill are coming 100 miles, if you're not all working together, then yeah, it can be really bad. But, they come with speed on the drop, but it also kills an extra 3-4 seconds. So there's some good to it because it's an extra 3-4 seconds ticking off. And, it just depends on your unit. If it's, you're scouting teams that drop the puck all the time to highly, and you adapt your system to those guys. And maybe not as much in the regular season, but once playoff hit, everything's broken down to, exactly what that team does. And you make adjustments just for that team. So, to me, it didn't really bother me either way. You're just like, once you're in zone, you're trying to break down the PK and you're trying to pressure the power play. So, either way worked.
Couple of quick ones. Who was the best player you ever played with?
With Sid by far.
Okay.
How about against?
Against?
Did you ever have one of those oh boy moments like Petrangelo had when McKinnon was coming down the wing, where you just like said, "Shit, this is not a good thing"?
Oh, numerous times. Numerous times.
Is there one player that stands out?
When I was in Calgary, I should have been a little more subtle, but we played Edmonton, and it was right after Luch got there. They scored opening face-off draw. I'm like, or the next face-off, like, Luch, let's go. The team sucks right now. And he's like, yeah. And then McDavid must have seen it and went forward on the draw. So I'm getting ready to drop the gloves, and he just pushes it through and almost blows past me. Get a little bit of stick on him, and then he ends up bailing and going on the boards. And then it was funny because the sports announcers blew up like, that's Luch. That's right when Luch got there. He's doing his job. He's protecting McDavid because Engelland took him out, and really we were going to fight anyways. But I was just trying to catch up to McDavid before he roasted me, and he ends up going into the boards. He didn't get hurt or anything, but funny thing. So yeah, I'm sure there's more times than that, just with him playing just down the highway from him in Calgary. So right. he was tough to contain.
Staying on the subject of Calgary, at the end of the 2017 season, when the expansion draft was going to happen, did you make any gestures to management for Calgary saying, I'd be okay if I'm left unprotected? Did you have any voice in that at all?
No, I actually, because I would have been 35 at the time. So, obviously I wanted to end up here and play here. But if Calgary would have came to me with a legitimate offer, they never offered me anything. I think their mindset was I wasn't going to get taken in the expansion draft and sign me afterwards, where I wanted to get signed before, so I had security.
Right.
So if they would have came to me and offered me a contract, I probably would have taken it and signed it, and then I don't know if I would have been here. But I think they were waiting till after, and it worked out in my favor. I didn't think there was a chance I was going to get taken in the expansion draft. I thought because I was a free agent that they might have, just signed me as a free agent and took someone else. But fortunately, it all worked out.
It did work out. And from what I understand, and hopefully you can verify this, when you and Melissa were building your home here in Las Vegas, was at the same time that T-Mobile was being built, and your builders went and got some dirt from T-Mobile and
yes,
kind of threw it into your dirt, so you have T-Mobile in basically your house sits on top of some ground from T-Mobile. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is. My buddy Joe Creasy, his company was building their house, and my wife put some vibes out there. Didn't know the team name or anything, but we put it out there. And Joe, I came back one day. He's like, "Yeah, we built up because they had to build it up. They dig down and then build it up, I think 18 inches above the street or something." And he said, I know the guy digging T-Mobile, and they were getting rid of dirt, so I just brought a bunch of the dirt here and built your lot up with that. So
yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So let's move forward to this year's Golden Knights. 28 games left. Are you worried? Are you concerned?
Oh, there's always concern, that the amount of injuries and everything. But if they play the right way night in and night out, I think there shouldn't be that concern. The last couple of games, I thought the Colorado game, they played really well. Same with San Jose. It gave them nothing. Forced Colorado to turn over a lot of pucks. But you can't have the letdowns like they had in Arizona right now. At this point, you lose 2 or 3 games and you're out of the playoffs looking in. So it's a tight division, which, for fans and of hockey and stuff. I think it's great for the game. There's so many teams in it. You go down. I think San Jose is falling out of the race now, especially with Reimer out now. But the top 6 teams are, Calgary's pulled up ahead a little bit, but between second and 6, it's only a few points. So it makes it for interesting, and it makes the games big. It can be a benefit going into playoffs when you're already playing playoff hockey for 30 games.
Would you say that it might be a little bit too early to kind of get a gauge or prediction of how Eichel is meshing in based upon the fact that he really didn't have any game playing conditions for almost 13 months?
Yeah, I think you see it. You playing against him, you've seen that he's a special player, but when you actually watch him here, it's early. It's a year off. It takes a while to get your game on back if you miss 2 weeks. So he's missed a year, and you see this flashes coming. You seen a shot the other night, how quick he gets it off and off the crossbar there. It's great shot. And, you see his patience with the puck in the offensive zone, how he draws numerous guys to him. So I think you're seeing flashes of what's coming. But you also, the more, not just him getting back to game speed, but with these top players, you got to find that chemistry. When you go back to my Pittsburgh days, Dupuis and Kunitz played with Sid for forever because they knew how to play with him. They complimented his play, but then there's other times they bring in Engelland. Well, he couldn't play with Sid. It's another superstar, but some guys just, you got to get that chemistry. And once you have it, he's going to go, through the roof.
Players tend to be, NHL players specifically, tend to be really superstitious about certain things. They'll eat the same thing on a pregame meal. They'll put their left skate on first or tape their stick a certain way. Did you have any superstitions as a player?
Yeah, I do the same thing every game, more or less. The morning skate, sometimes I'd skate, sometimes I wouldn't, but I'd usually eat the same thing there at the rink and usually leave the house around the same time and do my thing at the rink. So I was pretty routine, I guess you could say. I didn't have any crazy stuff, but I just like getting to the rink at the same time and having my time to get everything in and everything I like to do.
And Deryk, I asked you the thing about superstitions, and I wanted to lead into this question. A lot of NHL players refuse to pick up any conference champion trophy. The only trophy they'll even touch is the Stanley Cup. But when you guys won Game 5 in Winnipeg, without a doubt, you picked up the Campbell Bowl and carried it into the locker room. Was there ever a thought about not picking it up? And did you discuss it beforehand with the team?
Yeah, some of us older guys talked about it, and we kind of left it up to Flower because he was the only person that's ever won. So he said, the first year he won, or they lost to Detroit, they never touched it, and then next year they touched it. So, I think we thought as an older group, okay, we'll touch it first, and maybe it'll help us out too. So, superstitions, I guess, with that, but it was a team effort choice, I guess you could say.
So we're 18 days out from the trade deadline. There's no secrets going on about salary cap and things like that. Do you think that there's a chance that the Golden Knights are actually going to be buyers at the trade deadline because of the LTIR situation?
I don't know the exact injuries or anything like that. I'm kept in the dark there, but this team has shown that for the last 5 years they're all in, and if they have injuries and they have cap room to fill, I can definitely see them going out and trying to make the team better.
Deryk, you moved basically 3 times in your career, obviously from minor league hockey to Pittsburgh to Calgary, and Calgary to Vegas. When you moved from Pittsburgh to Calgary, moving to a new team, what is the dynamics of that as opposed to 25 guys coming together all at the same time like you guys did in 2017? Did that help bond the room better, that it wasn't just one or two guys coming into a sort of click and it was just 25 guys coming together at one time?
Yeah, it's definitely different. I was fortunate enough to be in 2003 with Calgary out of junior hockey. So I knew a couple of guys. I knew Weidman and Giordano from camps when we first all came out of junior together. So you kind of knew guys a little bit. But having a whole new team, I think me, Neeler, and Flower played together. There's a couple other guys that knew each other, but other than that, it was all fresh faces. So it was definitely different. But, for the guys we had on the team, it was, a lot of guys. That's why they call us the misfits. There was a lot of guys that knew they could play more and bigger roles. And, it was like the perfect storm. They came here and like 3/4 of the team, if not more, had career years, so it's just I think they did a great job choosing the group of guys they brought in, and the group of guys that they brought in all fed off each other and definitely helped each other along the way.
There's always rumors that Carlson started Misfits, James Neal. Can you tell us who actually was the guy who created the quote unquote misfit name?
Oh yeah, neither did he. Named our group chat at I don't exactly know how long in, but he give him full credit for it. He because you have every team has their group chat, and we're going to dinner here if anyone wants in type thing. So he named it the Misfits, the Golden Misfits. So I got to give him full props for that.
And it stuck, didn't it?
Yeah, it's still
it's still sticking.
Yeah.
What,
Deryk,
five left? 1, 2, 5 original Misfits left. The 3 on the front, McNabb and Theo.
Carrier.
And Carrier.
6, yeah. Deryk, you have the shirt on called Heroes. Can you talk about your Engelland's Heroes organization?
Yeah, well, we started it after the October 1, honoring people that were affected by the tragedy, and grew it from there. The next year we went, just anyone in the community that went above and beyond to help others in the community. We tried to honor them, and we did that for a couple of years, and now I don't want to say it's done because it's not, but with starting up the alumni here, we're kind of molding it. It's the alumni is going to be much bigger, obviously, than Engo's Heroes, but it's got the same sort of pillars that we were trying to hit. So it's not gone, but it's moving hopefully to a bigger and better organization, I guess you could say, just with a lot more people involved, and hopefully we can help many more people.
Yeah, a lot of people who don't live in Vegas don't realize how much you and Melissa do a ton of charity work here in Las Vegas, and being a local resident now and Eddie, along with Eddie, we thank you. You guys are great.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, it's, anytime you can give back, and, I think I can speak for every hockey player. Every hockey player wants to get out and do charities, especially in the town that they're calling home for the regular season. But for us, it was more than that. It's we call home. We've been here for 20 years. So it, when guys can go back to their hometown, get an opportunity to play there and give back, it's even more special.
Right.
All right. I have to ask one tough question before we get out of here. Is anything less than the Stanley Cup final a not successful season for the Golden Knights, given everything that's happened injury-wise, man game-wise, in the whole of it all? Does this team need to get to the finals for it to be a successful season?
I think a lot's going to depend on the easy out is if they don't make it that far with the injuries and stuff like that. But I think in their minds, 100%, they got to make it there, or it's another blown opportunity for sure.
You got one for the road?
I was just going to ask Deryk, is the window closing on this team shortly, or do they still have a couple of years?
They're going to have many years. You bring in Eichel, he's young. Stone's still not that old. You got a lot of young pieces. You got a lot of good veteran pieces. But the biggest thing is you got Vegas. It's a desirable place to play. You have amazing amenities, great crowds every night, great atmosphere. It's a very easy city to get around, nice weather. You have that going for you as well. It's a tax-free state. So, a lot of players are going to want to come here too. So I think moving down the road, let's see who's one of the older guys on the team. A guy like Patch, okay, when his career is done, you're going to be able to bring in another, maybe not exactly Patch, but you're going to be able to bring in another guy like that because it's a desirable place to play. In my mind.
Anything else, Eddie?
No, I think we're good, Deryk. We're going to meet you at the popcorn machine between the first intermission. We've got a little something for you.
We have a shoestring budget, Deryk, so don't expect too much.
But
I won't be there tonight.
Oh, you won't be there tonight?
No, I won't be there tonight.
Okay.
All right. Sunday, first intermission at the popcorn machine. We have a little gift for you. It was really important for Joe and I to have you on. It's a huge step for us in growing our podcast, and we owe a lot to we owe JJ. I would say a banana cream pie, but no one will get the joke till you ask him about it. But thank you, Deryk. It was really great to have you, and we'll see you Sunday afternoon, I think.
Sounds great. And let me know anytime you guys need.
All right, take care.
Thank you, Deryk.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Deryk.
it. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.